Hello Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for another work mode workout, and today was max effort upper day. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please click like down below, it would be greatly appreciated. Good news, I have water again today. As soon as I get this rendering, I am going to go jump in and take a hot bath. I am looking very forward to a bath. Very nice to have with everything that's happened down here in Houston. Also good news, my power has stayed on the entire day. I don't yet have heat, but it's getting warmer. I feel like at this rate, maybe tomorrow, I won't need to train in sweats. But I went with a closed grip pen press off the number 7 pin, which takes the bar, when I set up a little bit of an arch there, about an inch off my chest. I've done higher pin presses also in the past on camera, but I went with that because it's a real good metric to see where I'm at. And I ended up getting 315. The 315, I couldn't break it at a certain point. I had to adjust my position and then break it. And that's something I teach my lifters to do. Like all of my clients, all my advanced guys are like, yeah, we hate this lift. Because over on Team Blaha, I make my guys do this to teach them where to find their sweet spot for the bench. I'm like, look, whatever grip, width, and position over your chest that you can break your max off the pins, that's where you're going to be strongest on the bench when we do one real close to your chest. And it's one of the tools I use for their max effort. We do a lot of different maxes for a lot of reasons. But one of the perks of the pen press, besides the fact that it's a variation, the fact that something's a variation alone makes it useful for a max effort, because we need to space out our PRs. But when we get lifts like this is a training tool. It can teach you to find your position. Teach you to find your position. And I had to adjust, right? Because I couldn't break the 315 at first. I tried to press it. I can't get it off the pins. I adjusted my hand slightly, then broke it. A little grindy on the way up, which lets me know, for me on this lift, this is basically a max. I'm not pushing more weight than this today because I had to readjust to even get it off the pins. Then I break it off, which I tend to be fast off the chest anyways. Grind, and then I lock it. Now, I sometimes have people chime in, if you didn't lock that, I'm like, well, then I can't bench even 45 pounds. If your definition requires me to hit what you think is a lockout, my max bench is 0. Because I can't lock a broomstick out the way some people seem to think, and I've never been red lighted at comp over a lockout. But that aside, I digress. Over to the bench press. I did normal bench today with a pause. Started with just 225, did 2 sets of 10, then I got 12 on the third one. Everything paused, right? And then trying to explode. My shoulders felt fine on this. One of the things that's been a big help, the rear delt work I've been doing, which has been probably the best thing I've done for shoulder rehab through all of this, and that and just realizing I cannot do pull-ups, chin-ups. Probably can't even do lat pull-downs, to be honest. That whole motion just messes with my shoulder. Now, over time, if I continue to mess with some dead hangs and maybe build my rear delts, maybe one day, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Because every time I try to do that again, it re-exacerbates everything and I get set behind. It's time to build my bench up, and that means not doing the stupid stuff that hurts my shoulder, which is pull-ups, chin-ups. Okay? And because every time I've been reconvinced myself to do it again, it has gone badly and I get set back again. So there's no point in even trying. And I'm not interested in anyone's arguments or suggestions on it. I've tried everything. I got actually hurt doing the ring pull-ups, which is supposed to be the shoulder safe one. With that neutral grip, that caused my biggest injury to date. Biggest injury I have had since ever being on YouTube was caused by that lift. I had already gotten to a 350-pound closed grip bench press and got set back because of that. Not worth it for me. So, normal grip bench, that's pinkies on the rings. Notice the wrist stacking, by the way. So for a lot of times people will look at this, and this is kind of where you know that you're in your right groove and you're at a good grip width. Notice my wrist stacking. The bar is directly above my wrist bone. My wrist bone is directly above my elbow for the entire lift. Your ideal touch point when you're at a grip that's outside closed grip should put you in those positions. Notice, again, my forearm at the bottom. Wrist stacking, especially if I'm going to be doing this as a hypertrophy movement, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to agree with Nipper there. A lot of people will say silly stuff like, well, you know, the bench press isn't that great for chest. Really? then why do all these guys with jacked chests who have advanced degrees disagree with you? Why does the literature disagree with you? Bench press is a great chest exercise if you know how to do it. So if I want to get my bench up, since I already have regressed and had to rehab the shoulder and everything, let's just rebuild it all with normal grip benching. And we're going to do it real old school, real traditional. It's going to be pause bench, pause incline, overhead press. And since my chest has always been a deficiency with the wider grip bench, let's just build everything back up, doing these very chest dominant presses, and then do separate tricep work. And if it turns out my closed grip is still stronger afterwards, then my closed grip is still stronger afterwards. But I'm in a position now to where that did not hurt my shoulders. Felt great on my shoulders, no pain. Then we did Pendlay rows, 3 sets of 10 with 345. And I need to keep this ahead because what's one of the things I try to tell you guys, your strict rows, your Pendlay rows should be as strong as your benching. Well, I'm going to want that pause bench up to at least this for 10 as quick as I can get it there. So we need to keep that rowing moving, but I want to try not to cheat too much. Okay, I'm at probably the maximum acceptable amount of body English with this, so I'm going to have to stick with this weight until I see it tighten up a hair stricter. And it's relatively strict now, guys. There's not very much torso movement if you look. But we don't want to get any looser than what we're seeing here. And this is the most weight I can handle for 10 with this form. So I'm going to have to build off this. And so you guys know what I'm going to be doing later through the workout for the rowing based upon yesterday's lower body video. So we just do 3 good sets of that to get real strong. That's going to be my main lat exercise, that and the deadlifting. Then I'm going to have to get some less efficient movements to work on grip for the rest of it. Then we went over to incline. Incline. All paused. I went ahead and jumped 10 pounds. I messed with the 155 last time. I just went up to 165 because I felt like I could handle it today. Same thing. Wrist stacking. Find that point that when you touch on your chest at the correct spot for your leverage is, everything should be stacked. Again, we don't want to bleed energy. I'm trying to make my pecs and delts do the work, not my forearms. Everything needs to be stacked, especially when we're dealing with a hypertrophy movement. It's different if we're going to test different max effort exercises. We're going to get into some of these basic big movements. Just a little bit of biomechanics will help you go a long way and keep you injury free, because one of the problems we run into is that if you risk it at the bad angles, everything's not stacked. This is how we start accruing shoulder problems, elbow problems, wrist problems, all these things that people talk about. It's just from bad biomechanics for high repetitions. It starts accumulating. Right? Squeeze that bar as hard as you can. Use wrist wraps. Get the wrist stacked. Make sure that bar is directly above the wrist bone above the elbow. Notice again, I'm pausing on all of these just like on the flat bench. We're going to build it up. I'm going to keep working up with these. Before long, we'll start testing all of these, so we'll work off percentages. In the fairly near future, as these go up, I will test all these, test the regular normal grip bench with the pinkies on the rings. I'll test this incline again. We'll have percentages to work off of. But in the meantime, because I'm rebuilding a bit here, I feel like I can just use a little bit of slow linear progression and just get these up. Now, this last set, I think I got 11. Okay, so I know that I can probably get away with a weight increase next time. Same thing on that bench. I got 12 reps on the last set. And I haven't done a normal bench like that in a very long time. For rep work, almost not at all. So we know that we can raise that weight. So next time we'll increase the weight on both of those again and just keep it moving. Then I did 5 sets of 10 with the axle bar row. Still done as a Pendlay row. And this is, again, as strict as I can keep it. Because in this, we're trying to stay strict. And notice it's very, very strict. Which means the other wasn't too far off. Because notice you're still going to have my back itself moves up at the top. It's because of the size of my back and the elbows coming up and scapula moving. But 180 tested my grip pretty good. 5 sets of 10, my grip was really working hard at the end. But I know that I can increase this. So we'll go up next time. We'll place those 2 10s with a 25 on each side. And maybe go for 190 next time. Because I can do 245 for 10 with the other bar. So here's my strategy with the grip training. I need to toughen my hands. So notice all my other rowing was done with a deadlift bar. Now, it's my rogue one, my one I care about least, so I don't mind banging it up a little. I need to toughen my hands up with that super aggressive knurl. And I need to work on grip. Since I'm going to do all my deadlifting, other than an occasional test to see where my grip is on a pull, I'm going to do straps. That allows me to hammer my grip, because I don't have to walk into a workout and say, oh man, I'm not going to be able to pull tomorrow. If I do a bunch of axle bar work today, I can't deadlift tomorrow. We don't want to be in that situation. I need this axle bar work. I need to be pulling on an axle bar all 4 of my training days. My grip is limiting my deadlift tremendously. This is how I got up to where when I pulled that 615 the first time and held it at the top with no grip problems, was from doing axle bar work. I need to hammer the axle bar. That's a very orc mode thing to do too. So we're going to row with the axle bar as a second row on every single upper body day. I still need the heavier rows with the other bar to, number 1, toughen my hands, number 2, to make sure my back gets enough stimulus. On these, I'm having to do a lot more sets because the sets are lower quality. Now, I'm not saying I don't feel my lats and rear delts and traps working. They're working. But I'm going to always be grip limited. So accordingly, I fatigued all those muscles first by doing 3 all-out sets with the heaviest weight I can handle for 10. Okay? We fatigue those muscles pretty good. This is just follow-up volume, and it's not going to be as effective, but it still works them. Okay? So we're still getting rowing in, which I need, but it's going to let me really build that grip, and I think like 5 sets of this is going to work really well. Then I did my seated press. It took me a little bit to get into the groove of this, the 3rd set, to really kind of feel what's the most comfortable position again. My shoulders still are not going to let me do these with a wider grip, so I'm doing these closed grip for now. Eventually, I would love to take these out to that same grip that I use for the bench press and the incline, because that actually hits my side delts tremendously. When I've been able to do wider grips on overhead pressing, my side delts get hammered. But this is, again, to make sure my shoulder development keeps up. Give me another press that takes the chest out. As you know what, doing a max and then 6 total sets, quality sets of pause benching between the flat and the incline, my chest is getting a lot of work. Feel like it should be able to come up just fine. Shoulders need more work. Now, I'm doing a lot of rowing, so rear and side delts are getting hit by that. The overhead pressing will hit delts more. It'll hit the side delts some too. And then I finish off later by making sure I do rear delt raises, right? Rear delt flies, whatever we want to call them. So I do those at the end to make sure that those rear delts get hammered. And those incidentally do hit side delts a bit. But I need the extra shoulder work from this. And again, my hope is that this will carry over to the incline. I feel like the incline itself will improve my bench. I think especially that wider grip incline, when I want to build up my normal bench, not my closed grip bench, I think it's going to have tremendous carryover. I've watched it work for plenty of my lifters. It has great carryover. I know the same thing will happen for me, but I feel like the extra overhead work will help be an assistance movement for the incline, and the incline will be the main assistance for my bench. Then I need to make sure my triceps get work. They've always been a weak link on my closed grip. I can't let them be a weak link on the flat bench, so we're going to hit JM presses. Now, these I am now doing fairly strict JM presses, right? That bar is way over my face. I can see that bar coming down towards my eyes. Quite a bit different. I'm having to use a lot less weight. But you know what? It hammers my triceps really well, and I'm not feeling any fatigue in my shoulder, which is the main thing. That's the problem with the other version I was doing. It does hammer my shoulders a bit. I don't want any shoulder inflammation. I've rehabbed my shoulders. Let's keep them healthy. And I think doing this will help. Now, if I need to, I'll go to accommodating resistance with bands and chains to make sure I get more lockout strength out of it. And that's the other thing I can do with those other lifts. You know, people say, well, aren't you worried about how you're going to avoid overuse? Well, I'm just starting with those classic versions. I have different bars, right? If I'm worried about overuse or stalling, I can use the axle bar. I can use the buffalo bar. I can use the football bar. I have 4 different barbells I can do those presses with. We've got variation, and that's if I don't want to use my McDonald bar. That might have to come in eventually too, once my pecs get bigger. I have more meat there to work with again. I feel like the McDonald bar could have a place, and I have one. I just don't use it. I got it finally. I wanted one forever. But just because I have it doesn't mean it's the best tool right now, especially coming off of rehabbing a shoulder. It could be hard on my shoulders. I want to be very, very careful with that bar. And I feel like the more classic variations will work better for now, but I've also got that as an option. So we've got variation. But happy with these JM presses today. I'm really happy with all the pressing today. Everything felt good. I'm really happy that I was able to take a pinky on the ring bench, pain-free. And I knew when I was able to do it on the incline the other day, I'm like, I can do this on the flat bench. It's okay now. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to keep it with rep work. It's not going to be 5s. It's going to be 10s. Then I did curls, and I may take these over to strict curls. I didn't like these as much today, even though I took them pretty much to failure. I didn't quite get that pump I get in my biceps like I do off the strict curl. So I may take these over, or I may keep them in, because it's still working the bicep. It could just be fatigue from the other movements. But I did these with just 95 pounds. And like I said, I can always take them over. Then I superset it in between. I had to get the wrist wraps and stuff off. And then I did my rear delt raises with 25s, the only real dumbbells I own, to failure. And they work because I'm only using them for certain small movements. And I can do about 15 now. I fail at about rep 14 to 15, which I've built up to with these. So I was using smaller plates all the way up. And I can now do 15s with these. Okay. Well, so what? So what if I end up getting up to 20? What if I get to 25? And that's where I fail. These still work. How much bigger are my rear delts going to be when these same dumbbells, if I can fail at rep 25? Well, that's going to be substantial hypertrophy. Okay. So we're okay. But that's going to be the main thing for keeping my shoulders healthy. Lots and lots of pulling, which we do. We did 8 sets of rows today. 8 sets of rows. Right? And then we finish up with these 3 sets of reverse flies. Well, that ends up being 11 sets for my rear delts. Twice a week. That's 22 sets. That's a ridiculous amount of volume. So, you know, for people who are saying, well, are you worried about your rear delt? Well, my rear delts get more volume than my front delts. If we don't count maxes, I do 9 sets for front delts, right? 3 types of presses. We do 11 sets for the rear delts. It's 2 more per session. That's more volume. Okay? So we're good. We're good there. And that's what I'm trying to do. I would need to make sure that my rear delts get more volume than my front delts from here forward. You know, even if it's 1 or 2 sets per workout, in terms of total volume, that accumulates. As long as it's more. But we're getting to a point where this is a ridiculous amount. 22 sets a week, we're getting up there. That's a lot. But that's what I need to do. So they're getting a heavier focus. I am making sure that my rear delts get a lot of focus. I'm making sure my biceps get more. Because, I mean, we're doing all that rowing. But, again, since all that's overhand grip now, I do need a supine movement. So we'll do that. We'll do curls. And, you know, then my triceps get a lot of work. Triceps are going to take a big priority. Triceps rear delts for my upper body. And then grip. Grip, 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 grip. Which we're going to work every day. As you guys see now, I do deadlifts with the axle bar as a secondary movement on my lower days. And then we do axle bar Pendlay rows as a secondary movement on the upper body days. So I'm going to be working that axle bar 4 days a week. And I'm going to need to keep doing that. I have a feeling because of how strong my posterior chain gets, grip is going to limit my deadlift probably forever. So whatever I'm capable of gripping will be my max deadlift. So I better work the hell out of that axle bar. But you know what? I'm pretty happy with today's workout. Not happy about still being in the cold and having to wear sweats and everything. But you know what? The workout was good. Everything felt good. I'm very happy about the way the bench is going now. I'm going to keep moving forward with it. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.